Good afternoon. My name is Jim Martin Schramm, and I'm sorry I can't be with you all today. I'm booked for something else this weekend in the Decorah area, but I am a member of CCL, and so I'm delighted to share this portion of Amy's time with you to talk about the clean energy districts of Iowa's efforts in terms of public policy advocacy. So I'm going to share my screen with you and work through a few slides. Or not. So hopefully you can all see my slide here. Again, Jim Martin Schramm. I work in retirement now as a policy analyst for the Clean Energy Districts of Iowa. I was a professor at Luther College for 28 years. SETI is involved in various forms of advocacy at the regulatory level, the legislative level, and with nonprofits. We've been quite active in the energy efficiency dockets, the investor-owned utilities in in Iowa, Alliant, Black Hills, and Mid-American all have to propose 5-year energy efficiency plans. And so last year we were quite involved in those. We just finished our intervener status in the Alliant rate case, electric rate case. I'll talk about that in a minute. And a couple of years ago, we were involved in the Black Hills rate case. We've also just filed comments in various dockets about topics that are important. This fall or later this year, we'll be engaged in voter and legislator education around a variety of energy-related matters. And we work in partnership with colleagues here in the state of Iowa. Alliant Energy has some of the highest electricity rates in the Midwest, and so we intervened in this rate case. These are the things we emphasized, that this rate increase would have a pretty serious impact on low-income households. Because Iowa has some of the highest costs in Iowa and throughout the Midwest, that one thing that would really help is something called integrated resource planning, and I'll talk more about that later, and that we affirmed Alliant's goal to achieve a clean energy transition, but not by burdening ratepayers with even higher bills than they are already paying. In contrast to our intervention in the Black Hills natural gas rate case, in this one, we decided to form a coalition. And so we reached out to many many communities served by Alliant Energy and invited them to join our coalition at the Iowa Utilities Commission. And 50 cities in the Alliant service territory took us up on that offer. A few of them were able to provide us with some financial support. But our coalition consisted of the 13 energy districts in Iowa, which you've learned more about from Amy. And then this map just shows you the general location of those 50 communities. In addition, when we reached out to those Alliant communities, we also provided them with a draft resolution that they could edit as they saw fit. 85 cities, including the 50 that are in our coalition, and 3 counties submitted resolutions to the Iowa Utilities Commission asking them to address Alliant's high and rising costs, to protect consumer ownership of distributed energy systems, to require integrated resource planning, and to quit giving this company gigantic returns on equity for various projects. To our knowledge, this was the largest coalition ever assembled for a rate case before the Iowa Utilities Commission. In general, these are the things that SETI advocates for. As I said earlier, integrated resource planning, both for generation investments as well as transmission and distribution investments. Energy justice and the reduction of home energy burdens, the percentage of household income spent on electricity and heating fuel. to achieve greater measures of energy affordability through better cost controls. And then definitely, we're the clean energy districts of Iowa. We're definitely interested in the clean energy transition, decarbonization, and electrification. During this year, 24-25, these are the areas where we're going to be focused. As I said earlier, the legislative season will begin in January, and during that season, we'll focus on rate regulation reform, encouraging legislators to bring in integrated resource planning. We'll encourage them to revise a law that they revised in, I think, 2018 that really substantially gutted Iowa's approach to energy efficiency and imposed an arbitrary 2% cap on spending for energy efficiency. We want them to raise that at least to 3%. We'd like to secure a 25% carve out of those energy efficiency dollars so that independent third-party entities in your backyard can come to your home and provide technical assistance to help you identify energy efficiency opportunities. We think lower income households are going to need higher heat pump rate rebates, and so we want to encourage the legislators to take a look at that. One of the problems in Iowa is that various counties are imposing differing siting restrictions for solar and wind projects. We definitely are in favor of clean energy, including at the utility scale. And so depending on what these statewide guidelines would look like, we're going to advocate for statewide utility scale renewable energy siting guidelines. Another thing we're very eager to support is something called community solar and virtual net metering. This exists in some states in the US, but not in all. This legislation would really open up Iowa and permit third parties to build facilities and sell those green electrons to the customers of MidAmerican and Alliant. And then finally, this is a issue in Iowa and around the United States. Incumbent utilities want the right of first refusal when it comes to transmission siting reform, but this is sort of, by its very nature, anti-competitive, and as a result, is likely to result in higher costs to ratepayers. So we will be encouraging legislators to hold firm and not to give in to the big utilities on the right of first refusal. In the rest of my time, I want to talk just briefly about something we stressed in our testimony before the Iowa Utilities Commission in the Alliant Energy rate case, and that has to do with the role that air source heat pumps can play in the decarbonization of heating and cooling and in the shift to electrification. We reached out to the Center for Energy and Environment in Minnesota after they published this very interesting article, Developing Electric Rates for Hybrid Air Source Heat Pumps in the Midwest. They published that in April of 2023, and their conclusions are here. That dual fuel air source heat pumps can shave summer peaks, improve off-peak wintertime electric sales, and electrify space heating without introducing a new winter peak. Without special rates, however, electric heating and owners of air source heat pump systems may be paying more than users of other fuel options. I'll go into that in more detail in the next slide. So this study recommended a special dual fuel air source heat pump electric rate scenario because it can be justified from a utility and customer perspective. So dual fuel just means you're going to use electricity to do heating and cooling, but in the heating season, when it gets really cold, it's good to have a backup as a natural gas boiler, a natural gas furnace, even propane. So we reached out to the Center for Energy and Environment as we got into the rate case with Alliant, and they did a rates analysis for us in April of 2024. And so these bullets are their key findings. And those are that with current and proposed rates, Alliant Energy customers are at high risk of greatly increasing their heating bills by switching to an air source heat pump system. Rates are a very key equity component because even a free heat pump might greatly increase the energy bills for customers with high and severe energy burdens. So they looked at everything and they said, really, just to get the cost of heating down to what it is for a natural gas customer, you need to be at 11 cents per kilowatt hour. And ideally, to provide an incentive and to help low-income households, that cost needs to be around 7 cents per kilowatt hour. Well, for Alliant, 11 cents per kilowatt hour is what residential customers of Mid-American Energy are currently paying. But Alliant customers are paying close to 18 cents a kilowatt hour, and that's going to go up. So that's a long way away from 11 or 7 cents a kilowatt hour. And so this was a really important finding that we communicated to the Utilities Commission, and the Commission took it up in their 161-page final decision and order just a few weeks ago. They said Interstate Power and Light Company, which is the name of Alliant Energy in Iowa, shall work with interested stakeholders to determine the feasibility of rates for electric vehicles and dual fuel cold climate air source heat pumps that are not subsidized by other customer classes. So we're very pleased with that outcome, and we look forward to working with Alliant and ideally with the Center for Energy and Environment in Minnesota on this particular ordering clause. So this is my last slide. With regard to air source heat pumps, as Amy was trying to say to you, I think, challenge heat pump porn. Avert your eyes. Don't fall for it. Realize that switching to air source heat pumps isn't a panacea, and you could very well wind up with a lot higher heating costs. So we need accurate cost estimates for installation and operation, higher income-based rebates for high-efficiency cold climate and dual fuel heat pumps, special electrification tariffs, which I don't have time to go into today, and then helping people access federal financial incentives and tax credits to, in fact, afford this shift to air source heat pumps and the beneficial impacts of electrification. That's a lot to throw at you in just a few short minutes, but hopefully Amy has some time to answer some of your questions. If you're interested in more information about the Clean Energy Districts of Iowa, just scan this QR code, or just type in Clean Energy Districts of Iowa, and you will get there. And for some reason, my computer screen just ended there, so I'm going to stop sharing anyway. Thanks very much for this opportunity to speak to you. I apologize I can't be there in person, but thank you for all the work you do on behalf of present and future generations with regard to climate change. I think it's the most important issue that we face. Best wishes.